I'm Amy, thank you for tuning in. This is my April wrap-up video, and I thought it was going to be a pretty short one because it felt like I didn't read much in April. I spent a lot of time writing because I'm working on Mina and the Cult. I've also been working on the Taste of Darkness anthology, which is coming out in September. So it felt like I didn't read a lot, and yet somehow I managed to read 8 books, which I'm really happy with. So the first book I read was a not vampire book.
Come on, vampires! Urgh, nasty!
And then I tried to read mostly vampire books during April because for the YA book club it was vampire month, so I thought it'd be fun to pick up a few more vampire books as well. So first up, I finished off reading Royal Blood. I think I started that the previous month, and I really enjoyed this one. It is sort of Gossip Girl meets The King is Dead meets The Princess Diaries. It's a girl who finds out, I think she's always known actually that she is part of the royal family, but she ends up being pulled into it and into their world because of a sequence of events and things that happen to her, and it is lots of scandal, some murder, kind of how the press affect the royals' lives. It is a pretend royal family, so it isn't any characters you would recognise, but I think that the situations that our royal family find themselves in sometimes can be quite similar. I really like the fact that there are some little bits of mixed media in the book. Let's see if I can show you a couple. So there's things like quotes by actual royal members of the royal family. There are little things like newspaper reports, which I thought really added to the effect of the story, so I'd highly recommend that one. That was an early proof copy from Usborne, the publisher, so I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Next I read The Fell of Dark, which has been on my TBR pile absolutely for ages. I think I pre-ordered this and 2 years or something passed and I didn't get to read it. I really enjoyed this one. It was a little bit different than what I expected because it was compared to being like Buffy, which I do see. The dialogue was really pithy. It really represented the teen experience well, and there was some kind of found family and great friendships in there. But I think that it was less the found family side of Buffy for me, and it was more the kind of the apocalypse is coming and things are really high intensity and high action. So I did enjoy it, but I think that the high action stuff was good, but I really liked the kind of family and the character stuff better, and I think maybe it might, just my personal preference, I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. Next I read the Sookie Stackhouse complete short story collection. I read all the Sookie Stackhouse books last year, so I thought it'd be nice to read the short stories. And actually, if you're thinking of reading Sookie Stackhouse books, I'd recommend you read this alongside, because each of the stories tells you when it fits in the sequence of events, so which book it goes alongside, either before or after the book. So I did enjoy the stories, but some of them I was thinking what was happening in Sookie's life at this time, and I couldn't remember. So I think when I inevitably do a Sookie Stackhouse reread, I'll reread this book again, but alongside the other one. Next we have another Buffy book, because I've been trying to read all of the latest Buffyverse books.
Pop culture reference, sorry.
I love Kendara Blake's books and William Ritter's Bloody Fool for Love, the Spike book. And this is a book, I'm going to have to read you the blurb because it's too wild to explain. So it says, Demondale, California, 1999. Like Sunnydale, but a whole lot more evil. Step into this alternate reality where chaos reigns supreme. The Mayor Sunshade has created permanent darkness over Sunnydale, fully opening the Hellmouth once and for all. Now the newly christened Demondale has become a safe haven for vampires, beasts and all types of ruffians. It's never been better to be bad. I'm going to pause there because one of my favourite bits about this was seeing Buffy characters pop up. I think it's quite rare in Buffyverse books to get a huge range of Buffy characters, just because of, I don't know whether it's the agreements with Disney Hyperion and with the people who made the Buffy series, but you don't ever seem to get the full cast, and this book had a good range of the characters that I know and love from Buffy. I thought it did really well with capturing the way a lot of the characters speak, and it felt kind of plausible, like an alternative Buffy. If Buffy had an alternate reality kind of episode like it sometimes did, this would fit in as one of those. I think the only thing I was less keen on, and I don't want to give too much of a spoiler here, is that one of the characters I felt it didn't quite fit how they behave in it. It didn't quite fit for me with the Buffyverse that I know, and because I know the Buffyverse so well and love it, I think I feel quite kind of protective of it. So just a personal opinion thing, that one of the characters, it would just felt like a little bit of a letdown, but I think that's just personal taste and lots of other people might feel differently. So I definitely recommend giving this one a go if you're a Buffy fan, and if like me you're trying to kind of complete the Buffyverse and read everything you can set in that world. Next up, the YA book club read was The Lost Girls. I had such a good time on the live show. I ended up chatting with Amanda and Claire from the Fictional Hangover podcast, which is excellent, you should listen to it. Erin Megan from her brilliant YouTube channel, and Alex Fawkes, who wrote the amazing Rules for Vampires middle grade books. And we're all big vampire fans, so we had a great chat about the book. I really enjoyed this one. Again, like Full of Dark, I think with vampire books I always have super high specific expectations, which is on me. So I did enjoy it, but it was described to me as being quite a fun vampire book, and it is to some extent. Like, there's a lot of humour. I found the way that the main characters sort of feed on and hunt humans, it was described in a really funny way, but I found it quite a serious book as well, and it dealt with a lot of issues that I wasn't expecting. So if you're looking for that kind of vampire book where it shows sort of the reality and the downsides of being a vampire, this is a really, really good choice. Next, I have a couple of books that weren't vampire books, but I just chose them because one I needed to read and one I really wanted to read. So The House Trap by Emma Reed is coming out pretty soon, in a couple of months I think, and I was asked to read an early copy of it and to provide a blurb, which I did, and it is such a good book. It is sort of an escape room story where a group of teens go into a house to try and find a missing little sister who's wandered off, and they end up getting shut in the house, and they have to solve puzzles in order to get out of it. And it has brilliant links to this kind of like history of the house and the people who live there and the area, and without giving too much away, I loved the way the story unravelled and how you were trying to figure out which of the characters you could trust. And actually, although it is a middle grade book, I think if you're a fan of books like the Jennifer Lynn Barnes Inheritance Games books, the Truly Devious books, it has that kind of feel to it. Although it's for a slightly younger audience, I'd really recommend giving it a go, whether you're a usual middle grade reader or not, if it sounds like your kind of thing. I thought it was great. And I'm going to try and pick up a finished copy as soon as possible when it comes out, because the cover looks gorgeous too. So finally, I just finished listening to The Writing Retreat, which I was excited about because I love books about writers and the writing process, and just hearing about people's experiences of getting published and stuff like that is interesting to me because I've been through it. So that was what I was wanting out of this book, and I definitely got that. I think it gave really interesting insights into lots of characters, how they feel about writing, how they produce stories, and I love the interactions between characters. It's an adult thriller, so it kind of ticks a lot of those boxes of it has a remote setting, it's an icy setting, it's one of those kind of hard to get out of places. I really enjoyed it. I did find, I think, you know, when you hear something about a book and then it ends up not being that, and you sort of end up comparing it to what you thought it was going to be. I was told that there were these big twists and big reveals and stuff, and I think because I saw them coming, it didn't feel like as much of a reveal to me, and I think I can still really enjoy a book if the twists are kind of predictable. I'm sure they wouldn't necessarily be predictable to everybody, some people they might be, but for me I think I expected more from the kind of twisty element of it. But as a mystery during the journey of it, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed what you hear about being a writer, and I really liked the fact that you got to read little extracts of the books, of the book that one of the authors is working on. So all of that kind of added up to a really enjoyable experience for me, just not quite what I expected. So that is it for my reading month. It was quite a mixed bag for me, really. Recently I've been reading loads of books that have absolutely been exactly what I wanted at that moment, and I've loved them. And I enjoyed all the books I read this month, but there were just a couple on there that weren't quite didn't quite hit the mark for what I was looking for, which, as I said earlier, is on me, not on the books. So thank you so much for watching that. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of those books, if you think there are any books I would like based on the ones I enjoyed. I'd love to chat to people. I always enjoy getting comments on videos and interacting with people who've watched. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will join me in the next video. Bye!